So we're just going to have to do it as live. We go. We're live.
Voice from above.
Hello. Welcome to this week's Developer Q&A. I'm Protagonist, as you possibly know already, and joining me in the booth that is
the other chair,
in the very warm booth, wearing the hoodie of shame, is Too Many Blows to the Head.
It's bad.
His Hong Kong Phooey T-shirt is not working particularly well with the exciting chroma business that we've got going on. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about what's coming up in this month's update, which is a little odd. It's not a traditional update.
We talked about, in the last Q&A, we talked a bit about, like, this is a kind of utility, the improvement of life, kind of fixing stuff, update. We have some other components as well, because not everybody can work on fixing. But yeah, we have one major change that is part of this update that we're desperately trying to get sorted. Yes.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute, because that's kind of the punchline to this particular episode. But you know, with the kind of changes that we've put in so far since the big exciting May update,
yes,
have been numerous.
There's been a lot of little updates, post-update, hot fixes as well.
Hot fixes. Well, the way I tend to group them is an update introduces new features to the game, along with fixes and balance changes and all of that kind of good stuff. Whereas a patch, which is subsequently released, fixes all the things in the update that we broke.
Right.
Mostly. And then a hot fix is something that we turn around very quickly when we spot something that was broke and fix it immediately.
Right. Gotcha.
So,
okay.
Is that reasonable?
Sounds okay.
Sounds okay.
That's all work to me.
Okay, good. So, before we get to the meat and bones of this startling announcement that is going to make people excited, in possibly positive and negative ways, hopefully mostly positive.
Yes.
What's the decision process that goes into deciding what's in the next update? How do you know whether we cover drafting, or whether we cover big groups, or whether we cover new ships, or how do you decide?
There's a lot of different factors. There's the fact that we've had, throughout the process of the game, there's always been features we wanted to introduce. So there's all the way through, we tried to introduce features with a ship, or concepts to the gameplay, or aspects of the front end that needed to be there. So there's this back catalogue of features that we always intended to put in the game, but that evolves. So some things that we intended way back, it'd be great if we had this, and as we developed the game we realised actually it's not relevant, or it's not important, or it'd be bad, or it'd be worse than what we've already got, or it's for some whole other game. And then there's things paying attention to quality of life as the game builds. So we always intended to do drafting, for example.
Yeah.
Obviously we're doing a multiplayer game, it's very important you get a better quality for your game. We reached a point where that had to happen.
Yes.
It suddenly became very, very important. It became urgent to get it in. And so the journey of the game through development kind of changes the priority and pushes things up or down according to where you are in that thing. And then there's also what people ask for as well.
Yeah. So, in a given month, so like drafting, for example, we've been on blind pick now for a couple of months.
Yeah.
We almost moved out of blind pick for a little while, but that version of
Drafting's been a journey.
Yes.
That version of drafting, yes.
So, is the decision made, do you look multiple months ahead, or is it is that based on how much is kind of reactive to the game situation today?
A lot at the moment is quite reactive, in the sense that we're aware to do a lot of the cool features that we're desperate to do. For example, proper drafting, right? And making the game easier to play with large groups, or ranked play generally. All those cool stuff we want to do are reliant on having a larger player pool. And so we're looking at the metrics and people playing, where we need to hold on to players more for that pool to grow more quickly, so we can move on to those features. So right now there's a lot of focus on how to keep people in the game, keep people committed to the game, get them into the point when they want to play more and more and keep playing.
And what's the secret weapon to that?
There's a lot of different stuff, one of which we're about to get on to. But I think we look at the metrics and we look at the point where people get to disillusioned or decide that the game isn't for them, and try to resolve that. There was a whole look at the the new player experience, the Fatui coming in, how to address that. We did a drastic
Proving
change.
grounds.
Proving grounds.
Proving grounds. We don't say Fatui.
We don't say the evil words. We say proving grounds.
Now, Fatui, some
shorthand.
of you may have, a few of you may have encountered it in error messages. Actually, is the only place it still exists in the game.
And the only place it should exist,
FTUE is the first time user experience, which is a pretty dull phrase.
It's a really dull phrase, and the reason you use that phrase rather than say tutorial and stuff is it kind of covers that whole process of coming to a game for the first time and moving not just through one game, many games, but that early experience in the game. Kind of covers that whole thing, but it's a horrible phrase. But yeah, we had a look at the proving grounds, how that was working, that experience, and there was a lot of places where it needed work. So we did a big pass on it. It's a lot better now. The metrics are pretty a lot better, but there's still a whole process there. Because what we want to do is have people come in, be as committed to the game as you guys are, and stay with it and build a player pool so we can get all the cool stuff we want that needs it.
Okay, good stuff.
Does that make sense?
No. I understand it. I'm asking you questions I already know the answers to, or at least broadly speaking.
Yeah, good.
Okay, so I mean, where's the balancing act? You've got, a vocal group of players over here going, sort this out. Meanwhile, over here, that this feature that you're working on, feature X, just for the sake of argument,
they're all called features.
is a big deal. So, where's the balance lie in between feedback that is giving you, very real, very raw experience from players, versus the grand vision?
Generally, they just mesh to a certain extent. So somebody will have an aspect of the game that doesn't work for them, and in your head there'll be a feature that you haven't added yet. Oh, that will resolve it. That feature will resolve it. It'll be fine. We'll add that feature. It'll be fine. But the more that comment gets said, and the more that comment comes up, you start looking further and further at the causes for the feedback. Why do they need this change? Why do they think this thing is wrong? And often you'll find that the feature you're assuming will resolve the problem won't, and you need to look at something else. But basically, it's...
I'm going to rotate. Just carry on. You carry on. No,
like
just to make it look more natural. Because
yes,
otherwise we're going like this.
Yeah. So it's kind of a vague answer, but it's kind of a vague question.
I'm good at those.
Yeah. I think the more something is repeated, the more it comes up as a problem. You have to look into the cause of what that is, and normally it's not what the person thinks it is, and normally it's not what you thought would solve it, but you just have to look into it. So it comes out a lot of melding where you wanted to take it. So you'll have a feature that's meant to resolve this problem that you believe the community is talking about. You look into the problem and you realise it won't, and you need to adjust it, and so on. So it's kind of like an evolving process, because the whole game process is an evolution.
No, totally. I mean, that's from my perspective, it's one of the real benefits of working in an agile environment.
Yeah.
Is that you can evolve in a responsive fashion rather than a prescriptive fashion where you're hoping that you're going in the right direction. So one more before thing. MMR.
Yes.
It's a big old sack of spanners, that one.
Yeah.
Now, I took the very bold step and let everybody know. We know it's broken.
Yeah.
We know it's not very good. Why is it broken?
So, there's a whole long story there.
I don't mean why, as in why did we screw up?
Hey, we're not the first to screw up.
No, it's true.
Classically true.
What is it about MMR's calculation right now that isn't working?
Currently, it takes... There's a problem with it, you can't recover it. If you play a lot of games, the way MMR works, you're setting yourself up for a fall further down the line. Resetting games or starting, just playing fewer games helps you out on MMR, and it shouldn't work that way. MMR should be recoverable. It normally goes up and down according to your progress in game. But you can... The problem is you got a situation where you need to show some element of experience in play, or basically the calculations always break. So if you literally just have stats from a game, you'll reach a point where somebody never dies and they break your calculation. So you need to have some experience through play. You need to be rewarding what people do in game, but because it's class-based, and it's true of any class-based game, it's very hard to equally balance things like support, capture, kills exclusively. Because ultimately everybody's involved in a battle, everybody's trying to support their teammates, but trying to cover those and capture those values. Like World of Tanks has 4 different systems to try and gauge players. One of them is wargamings. The other 3 have been fan-based ones, W7, 8, and so there's...
So are we inviting that? I mean, if we had some of the luminaries from the forum community stuck together their idea of this would make a great MMR calculation. I know you've got something up your sleeve already, but
well, I don't have to do it this time.
Right.
So the original one,
Yes.
which is much, much worse than the one we currently have,
Right.
was mine.
Okay.
So I'm not a maths genius. So so it's not a great.
But would it be welcome to
Yes,
receive suggestions along those lines?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think it's useful. The ones that are used for wargaming are eminently superior, but it's a hard nut to crack.
Yeah.
Multi-class kind of like evaluations of player. So the other thing to keep in mind is that MMR comes into play in the current process after you've picked a ship, and one of the things MMR needs to do is accommodate how much you play the ship.
Yeah.
But currently our pipeline doesn't support that. We can't.
No, I can
make
see that.
kind of
I mean,
evaluation.
likewise, you would assume that a player who has invested double-digit games in every ship would be ranked much higher than someone who played the same number of games, but only in one ship only.
Yeah, to a certain extent, but again, it's hard to get into the equation. It's hard to work.
The specialist versus generalist.
Yeah, I mean, you see it all the time in like 7,000 plus games where there's obviously a guy and he's new with a ship and he's absolutely terrible.
We're 5,000 plus now.
Oh yeah, absolutely 5,000 plus.
5,000 plus.
Yeah. So
So
yeah, I mean, I think that stuff's really interesting. Is a question for Stanith on whether he wants to sort of wade through suggestions, because I think he'll be looking at the MMR.
Well, I think what we'll do, here we go, I'm announcing this now. If you, community, yes, you lot, if you want to stick together your top 3 suggestions, and I'll help you curate 1, 2, 3 suggestions for a new MMR mechanic, I'll then give those to Stanith, and he can stroke his nicely smooth baby-like face,
yes.
and come up with what he thinks is appropriate.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, caveat heavily, we might go a completely different direction with it, but we're interested to know what you think would make a fair system.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right then, enough pussyfooting around. What is the big feature for the next update?
See, I don't know if feature's the right word.
All right,
but
okay.
yes, the big thing.
The big evolution of the game in the next update.
Well, the big thing we're changing is the easier way to put it, is that so we're flattening the tree.
We're flattening
the tree is an interesting way to put it. Basically, the shipyard. So previously, as everyone will be aware, we have a progression system where you play ships, you earn XP and SC, and you unlock more ships. And the idea behind that tree is that it will allow you to connect to the game, understand easier ships, learn ways to play as you accelerate to harder to play ships. But we never got that right. We never managed to build a succession of ships that taught you how to play them.
Right.
It was the intention, it was an aspiration, it was quite a hard thing to do. But when you come to build something as complex as a ship in fractured space, or that's going to play as well, that's kind of baggage you don't have to deal with. So we have a lot of ships that play differently. We have a lot of great ships, but creating a process that runs from Ventura to Overseer is incredibly difficult.
Yes, those two ships alone play completely differently.
Exactly. So the concept behind the tree was that would be a path that you'd take, and because of that path, you'd never regret, or less likely to regret, a ship that you got into because you were led there by the path you took. So
not to mention the fact the other big downside to that path approach has been the perception of new players entering the game.
I was going to get to that. Yeah. So that path system relied on ships doing things that we could never get it to work. So currently people would get to the Overseer, especially till recently anyway, and massively regret it. So the tree wasn't working.
Right.
And the other thing it was meant to do was just allow people to make decisions and have a narrative and commit to a tree, and because they were moving through a tree, they'd be more committed to the game, and we're not seeing any evidence of that.
Okay.
And on top, there's a natural tendency for people to read left to right is better, and we're seeing a lot of new players coming in and see it, and they assume that ship at the end is better, and they see it in a game, and it seems inherently unfair to them. Not to mention the fact that you start out with 3 ships. If you see anything else in that first game, it feels unfair.
Yes.
So after much, we basically did a massive metrics check on trying to prove whether any of this was working. And what we're going to do is basically strip the tree down, so there'll be no XP unlocks. everything will be SCHC purchasable from essentially a flat.
That's credits
column.
or platinum for
I'm using
those
the
of
wrong
you
terms,
who actually
yes.
play the game rather than build it.
Yes, sorry.
So, yeah, to paraphrase, because you went quite quickly.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. All ships will be purchasable with credits, potentially with or platinum. Credits or platinum, and XP is a thing of the past.
Yes. Now, obviously, there's a whole load of questions that come out of that on how do you do this and stuff. The intention is that we'll make this transition as far as your inventory is concerned completely seamlessly. Everybody just has what they've got.
Yeah.
And we reimburse everybody for any difference between the price they paid and the price the ship will be.
Yep.
So all that just kind of happens. There's things like any XP that you have kicking around will be reimbursed as SC.
Credits.
Sorry.
Credits. Yes.
Credits.
SC doesn't mean it only means something internally. There we go. Credits. That's an alternative creative director way of spelling that.
Yeah. I was trying to go in this one.
Remind
myself.
Say, what about XP? As we just mentioned, XP will be converted into credits.
XP that you have outstanding will be converted into credits. Yeah.
Right. And it won't be on a one-to-one basis. 1 to 10. So you'll get 10 credits for every point of XP that you currently have.
Yes.
And based on my, back of napkin maths that I've done,
yes.
Any player who's got, a dozen or so games in there, they should be able to buy another ship pretty much immediately, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole load of things. For example, we're going to reimburse any money spent on XP boosters, and there's a number of other system things we'll sort of get onto. You should have enough credits or platinum kicking around to get an extra ship. Yeah, at least.
So I think the big takeaway at this point, and we've still got more to go on this subject, but the big takeaway at this point is you won't lose out at all. If you've invested or earned XP towards new ships, you will get the equivalent that will allow you to get ships.
Yes.
And that's all that really
that's the important. I mean, there's big changes things like the premium ships existed to bypass the progression through the tree and earn XP and SC. They won't earn XP. In fact, they won't exist as a separate ship anymore. We're going to convert those into basically, if you have a premium ship at the moment, we will make sure you have the parent ship that belongs to it. So if you have the Phantom Ghost, you will get the Ghost. You'll get the Ghost, and you'll get an ultimate skin that basically looks, sounds, feels exactly the same as the Phantom Ghost does. And rather than earn experience and credits, we'll earn credits plus the value that we had on experience.
Right. So are we tracking? Oh, I see. So we're tracking the XP earnings that you would have got as extra credits. Or
yes, it's added to the credits booster.
Excellent. So effectively, you're making your credit gain greater for a premium ship.
Absolutely.
I mean, these
also,
are still
though, because we're changing it from a premium ship, separate ship that you buy, to a very gorgeous skin for that ship. There'll be those skins will be sold for a lot less, so you'll be reimbursed the difference between the two, except on the Revenant, obviously, which was a free gift. So.
Yeah. The other bonus of that, though.
Yeah.
Come on. The other bonus. What's the other bonus of changing ships in this way? Because this is a biggie. What's the one thing that premium ship owners have wanted for ages?
Oh, yes, no, of
there
course.
You go.
Yes, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry, it took a while to get there.
I set you up.
Well, the thing is, we did all the work. We already did the work. So the premium ships would have the loadouts that you unlocked on Tech Tree. We're throwing that all away because you'll automatically have all the loadouts you have on the Tech Tree because it'll exist on the
You see,
ship.
look, I predicted that. Zerida said that legendary ships are becoming skins.
Legendaries always were.
That's right. A legendary ship has always
been a skin.
Effectively been a reskin of the same ship, obviously with quite a lot of architectural
quite nice
changes
ones.
as well.
Yes, but in this case, yes, premium ships essentially are becoming skins.
Yeah, well, we're referring to them as skins just to keep things.
So you understand what we're talking about when we say it.
But you will notice absolutely no difference. So if you've got the Revenant or the Azrael Reaper,
you will be flying the Revenant and the Azrael Reaper as you do now.
It'll just be a different method of selecting them when you go into the game.
Yeah. Talking of which, so when you hit the shipyard now and you see that kind of 2D grid of where things exist, that will vanish, and everything will be done in the hangar. So you want to buy a ship, you want to look at a ship, you see it in the hangar in full 3D glory.
So I don't look at a JPEG anymore?
Nope, you're looking at the model itself, and you're
Awesome.
looking at there, and that's where you buy it, and that's where you get it, and it's all going to happen in that one screen.
That's fun. So okay, so we're getting rid of this this notional tiered approach to ships, and we're simplifying that to the kind of the standard and more advanced and expert level. Is that kind of staying in?
Well, no, that was there. That moderate expert thing was a quick, short way of trying to make people understand that they may be harder to play, but they're all balanced.
Right.
That we will have a concept of difficulty to help people understand whether a ship is harder to play, but that won't be like a barrier to entry or something that sits between them and the ship. It'll just be information that we give them. That won't be probably on the first pass we put this out, because obviously most people here are aware of where those ships sit. But yes, for example, like League of Legends has a difficulty ranking that everybody completely ignores. But we would like to get something out there so people understand how difficult a ship is to play.
So I can pick up the game as a new player, play half a dozen, 10 matches in Pioneer, and then go get myself a Leviathan.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, ultimately that comes down to the values for credits and platinum upon the ships, which Jorge's got to work through. But yeah, I mean, the number of games should be.
So is each ship priced then for credits? Are they all priced individually, or are there different bands of?
Well, I won't be setting the prices, but I understand it. There'll be bands to the sense that there'll be, much as you see in other games, there'll be older ships will be kind of like have a lower accessible price, to be easy to get into. There'll be sale priced ships. New ships will probably have a higher price tier as they come out, so people that are committed or built a load of currency can invest in them and play them early. But hopefully all of that will be coming when it's been decided. At the moment, we're just building the structure to move over to the new system.
So let's have a quick look at some of the comments that we've had so far. So loadouts are going to be correct across skins as well. Yes,
that will just happen as a result of
absolutely.
This,
so if you're
and talking of loadouts, so the last change that the Overseer made, the loadout options on the right mouse button, redundant. At the time we do this, those will be reimbursed.
That's right. So if you've invested credits or platinum, you can buy loadouts with platinum.
Yeah. So either whichever one you use.
Yeah, you'll get that back if you've spent on the Overseer for the ability that we took away. I don't think I've seen any comments to that effect, but that's a good thing anyway.
Yeah.
What else have we got? This is welcome. Hey, there we go. Says Robert Padot.
Asteroid Destroyer. Yes. One day.
Okay, so that's all good. Basically less clicking in drafting. Yes. Anything else? Who buys loadouts with platinum? Mad people.
Crazy people.
That's people we like.
Yes.
We like mad people. So there we go. Is that patch coming in the next 2 weeks?
Where are we?
Not quite.
Close.
Is the answer.
Close. Yeah. Towards the end of the month. First days of July, we're trying to get this out for.
Yeah, so we're aiming for the first week of July at the moment, and obviously, to coin a phrase, that is subject to change.
If something goes wrong, it might be delayed.
Yeah,
not that ever happens.
But that's our target date at the moment. Yeah. Now, is that it? Is that the lot? Is that all we're getting this month? I mean, come on.
What
do you work? I mean, that sounds pretty insignificant. What kind of who is involved in making a change like this out of the team members here?
It's a lot of me, Greg, Sam, Jesse, and probably some of Stanith. There's basically a group of us just working through the sprint. We're also, of course, doing the Unreal update, but that's kind of like.
We can talk about the Unreal update. So we're currently running, and this we're going down the rabbit hole of tech here.
Because it's a really boring subject. That's
massive tech heads. We're moving from Unreal Engine 4.08 to Unreal Engine 4.11.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I know this.
Nice.
This is stuff I know. And why are we doing that? Why are we investing time in just updating the engine?
Well, in order to keep the game and features coming out and keep the game going, we've left it. We've left updates because they're a lot of work.
Yeah.
Basically, every time we update Unreal, we break everything and we have to rebuild it and move forward. And there's so many features in that they've been adding slowly to the Unreal updates that we have to catch up. Things that, like I say, down the line we want to add features. We want to add things like client-side replays and just all the kind of cool stuff that helps people play, capture, and push out the game. I mean, it's not impossible that we try and get in a proper kill cam once we've got that kind of technology in there, and that'll help with the version increase. So there's a lot of cool features coming with it.
You see, the one that I got all excited about from Toonzilla was apparently there are in excess of 2,500 bug fixes in this engine change.
Yeah, well, we jumped several versions. So
right. Yeah. So we may see improvements that we hadn't anticipated.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
So, I mean, while we're still not quite at focusing laser beam style on optimization and bug fixing, we should hope
get some big wins.
We should get some of both this time around.
Yeah.
What are we saying? Kieran Ketsu is saying, "If we don't work. We just play the game all day, killing low-level newbies." That's Toonzilla. He's on holiday.
He's on holiday at the moment, and
yes,
his infiltrator is parked. Yeah.
Okay, so is there anything else you want to volunteer, or shall I turn it over to the horde?
Probably, but my brain's just gone.
Okay,
so
Horde,
maybe,
have you got any specific questions that you'd like answered with regards to the next update? If you're going to say things along the lines of, are you... Frontline, that's what I want to know.
Oh,
where the hell is Frontline? Someone's going to ask that anytime soon, if they haven't already.
Yeah, so...
could we unscrew Frontline and get it back out there?
Yes.
Right.
But... so there's a problem with Frontline, some serious issues. The whole drafting pipeline through into the game has issues with Frontline. Drafting doesn't like Frontline, Frontline doesn't like drafting. And there's just major issues that be resolved before we can switch it back on again safely.
Right.
That's not something...
That's not a quick job by the sound of it.
No, it's not. So that's the thing blocking it. We do have plans for Frontline.
Yeah.
I kind of mentioned last time on the Q&A. But yeah, that's kind of the blocker, and there's the guys that would fix that are busy trying to fix other things.
Okay, so Frontline, not this time.
Not yet.
Seraphine's going to yell at me.
Sorry, Seraphine.
No, sorry
him.
Sorry, me.
Yeah.
Okay, when the founder packs go away, they're gone forever, right? That was Dr. Rooster, MD.
Wow. Yes. Yes.
No
founder packs obviously have been people invest in the game early on, and obviously they've been around, but we're moving beyond that now. And
basically, founders are special, and all of the contents of founders, other than kind of platinum and boosters and stuff, all of that is exclusive to the people that got in early and helped us to get to where we are today.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know already, last chance to get your founders is this week.
Right.
It's going bye-bye on Friday.
Right. Yes.
I don't know what time on Friday, so you might want to jump in ahead of that. KP, you've been paying attention. Have you picked out any questions? Hold on. Here we go. All right. I'll take your pick. Zerid is asking, when can I come and test spectator mode?
Yes, we need to get that. That is on. I think I spoke about it last Q&A. It's on our list. But
that was number 2 on my wish list for this month.
Yeah.
That was number 2.
Number 2.
You know what number 1 was? You know what number 1 was?
Was it 5 for Fun?
No, it wasn't. No, that was number 3.
Oh, that was number 3.
Number 1, fixed disconnections.
Yeah. Well, obviously that's magic wand thing.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We can fix that. Just snap your fingers.
Yeah.
Anyway, Benny88 Games has asked, what's an optimization pass? What does that actually mean? Are we doing one? When are we doing one? What is one?
We're kind of always trying to work on optimization, but with this sprint, we're trying to do a fair bit. The move over to 4.11 will help, but also we've had Graham's been looking at optimization on generally in the background.
Right.
So yes, hopefully. I don't know what the progress, how that's working.
How will I, as a player, notice that optimization has happened? What is the effect that beneficial optimization will have on the game from a player's perspective?
It completely depends on what has changed in that scenario. So,
what might some symptoms be of good optimization in the game as it is now?
Ideally, we can reduce server-client communication, and we can reduce the way the game renders on your PC. It's just varied through frame rate lag. But I'm asking the wrong guy.
Okay,
get Stanith up here.
Well,
and quiz him on
it's stuff.
What he's been doing.
I was trying to ask you questions to which I already had a fair idea of the answer.
Well, then yeah, go ahead.
But I can't ask myself questions.
You can.
And answer them. It's just that's
Well,
ridiculous.
give me the question.
Okay, go on. Go on.
So, give me an example of how optimization might affect me as a player.
Okay, well, I mean, optimization is basically making what you do already more efficient. It's getting it streamlined, whipped into shape, and working as well as it can be. So one way that might manifest is, let's take, for example, our horrendously long loading times that we get occasionally.
Yes.
That could be shrunk down. In fact, it should be shrunk down. There's a thing that if you're working on a PlayStation game, the same is true for Xbox as well, is that if you have a black loading screen for longer than 3 seconds, you fail. You fail test immediately,
TRCs.
and they won't let you release it. And at the moment, we've got quite a few kind of blank loading screens. So likewise, in-game, you might see a frame rate improvement.
There has been, I mean, the loading aspect, a large amount of that is data flow between your client and the server. I know that a lot of work has been done on trying to reduce that back and forth outside of the game. So those loading moments going in or coming out.
Because it's not just caching, is it? It's not like it's grabbing graphics and that kind of thing. What it tends to be grabbing your player data and that of others.
And verifying it and checking it and everything else. But I mean, that has, Greg's been doing some work on that, so hopefully that'll be something we see.
Okay. So everybody wants to see this question answered.
Yes.
Right? Well, let's not do that one.
No, let's do that one.
No, let's do this one next.
Yes.
So this is from Dr. Colt.
Yep.
Or Calt. I need a pronunciation guide. Will we ever see a heavy support?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Moving on. I mean, the idea of...
what does a heavy support look like?
Oh, basically, in our game, naturally, heavies tend to be slow and take a lot of time. So they tend towards tanks anyway.
Right.
But the success of the Colossus, for example, is largely its support role. I mean, largely it's the CC you get from it. I mean,
come this way again. Or you're going to get a message.
I'm going to get a message saying,
from
move to your left. Snoggable range.
You should be so lucky.
So the Colossus success is largely it's slow drones and it's disable, and that's where its power comes from.
Right.
So we have elements of that already, but yes, absolutely, you could have a support heavy, which largely is dealing with buffing his teammates or debuffing the enemy. To a certain extent, we want all ships to have a support role of some sort and support their team. We're trying to find ways where the more selfish ships have a positive impact for their team, things like the snipers and the assassins.
But one moment, right? Now, we've always said, we've always said that there's going to be 33 ships, 11 ships in each manufacturer. That's the number I was given to play with.
Not a final number.
No, for when we hit beta.
Oh, right, yeah. I mean, we had a goal of a number of ships to get out.
Right.
Because there's a certain number of ships you kind of need for the ecosystem. But, yeah, I mean, yeah.
So this sounds like the number, because we're at 29 today.
We don't stop. 33 was never like a stop value.
Good man.
That's
the right answer.
If you look at the tech tree, right, and the way it used to exist, there's like 5 paths and lots of empty spaces. We wanted to fill empty spaces and go off the end. We want to add new manufacturers.
Yes.
Aliens. But there's all sorts of stuff you kind of want to get into.
We could have saved that as a reveal
nobody's listening.
Okay, fine.
Besides, I spoke about it like a year ago, 6 months ago, and whatever it was.
Well, that was an exclusive.
Yeah.
Well, that was also, kind of like, but don't put it in your calendar.
There's loads of stuff we want to do, but the number of ships is meant to keep going.
Right.
It doesn't stop at 33. I mean, you can broadly categorize the ships we've got, and we can build more of those categories, or we can build whole new different things, and that's kind of what we want to do. Yes, the role of a support heavy, absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
we're aiming for parity between manufacturers. So there'll be, if not an obvious equivalent, there'll at least be the same number of ships in each manufacturer. Zarek.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Good. Great question. Right. Okay. We might ask. Let's answer that one because we're back on topic again.
We did just kind of mention it quickly earlier on. So. It's a good question from Founder Packs. I'll have to check, but I think we're doing it.
Okay, so the question is, what happens to the XP boosts that are in Founder Packs? And the answer is,
I thought you were going to answer it then.
Yeah.
As I understand it.
no, I mean, they will be reimbursed.
Yeah.
And what could happen is we might give you the equivalent in credit boosters. Equally, there could be another solution as well. I mean,
To clarify though, if you've bought XP boosters, you're just going to get refunded for
yes.
those. If you've bought a founders pack with credits, XP boosters, you will be receiving something in return for those.
No, I remembered that when we had that question internally,
Yeah.
we said, well, what about the XP boosters you get in a founder pack?
Yeah.
We went, that's more complicated. So
It depends on how we do the transfer and how that there's an entire script that's written that's to run through the data of 500,000 people, and it's how that works.
Yeah.
And
well, that's another thing to actually point out at this stage is what's the worst case scenario you've heard so far in terms of how long this is actually going to take to deploy? So this is not develop. It's ready. We put it live.
Yeah. So
and
when
Greg
we do this,
says
we have to shut down. We have to stop the data. There has to be no data changes because the script has to run through everybody. Everybody has the game, all the data. So the truth is we don't know, but we were talking to the guys that do all the data storage and everything off the back end, and it could be a couple of days, but we don't know yet. What we're doing at the moment is we're building the script. We're going to run a test run on the script. We're going to get an idea of how much time and how it works. And basically it's changing it to a flat tree sounds like a really quick thing. It's not. It's a mass amount of data. It's a lot of work, and we've got to do some dry runs and then find out. When we know, we'll tell you, of course, but we'll have to shut down the game for a bit. It might be a few hours. It might be a day. We don't know yet.
So worst case scenario, there could be a significant period of outage while this change is actually happening.
Yes.
How does ship mastery change without XP?
So there's a couple of things. There's the medals that you have.
That's laser 14344.
We've lost a question. Put the question back.
No, we know what the question was.
There's two answers to the ship mastery. One, what happens to medals you've already got, especially if you've got it on like a Typhoon or a Revenant or a ship. So the idea is those would move over to the parent ship, so you'd have the mastery for the parent ship. But in terms of earning them, the what we intend to do is change them anyway. We're seeing some. We're finding that the ship mastery medals are encouraging a certain kind of behaviour that we don't necessarily want to encourage.
You can use the F word, but not that F word.
Farming.
That's the one.
So basically we're looking at changing the definitions. Anybody that has a mastery will keep that mastery. It'll move from the premium ship to its parent ship, so you won't lose it. But we're probably going to change the definitions of those medals, in which case they'll have something that doesn't rely on XP specifically, but does rely on performance in game. We were essentially using XP as a method of evaluating that, but that itself is based on your takedown ratio, your supports, your captures, so we can feed off those values rather than the XP output.
Okay, good stuff. I mean, to kind of tag on, this is one we answered already. Awazrim has said that the Vanguard is effectively at the moment
so those are
5 and 5.
Yep. That's presence boosters. That's what you give to yourself and the people on your team. When you play a game, you get those bonuses. So we're changing those so that they stack up. So, for example, in the case of the Vanguard, you'll be getting 10% credits rather than the 5 and 5.
Right. Okay.
And that works for the Harbingers as well, because they have 3 and 2, I believe. So that would add up to the 5 on the credits. The other two don't have the presence bonuses for XP. They just have it for credits, so they remain the same.
Okay. Good.
So that's how the presence bonuses work. Did we want to talk about the question you deleted?
No. Actually, I've got another one from Rees, because this is another good question. That I said on the forum, I say a lot of things on the forum, that people will get the best version of founder packs after they're no longer on sale. Does that include the nice Europa and Type G skins that were taken out of the pack earlier this year?
Yeah, I mean the thing is, we were originally discussing that transfer. We were talking about so we'd reset and we'd use the badges and tokens we used to cover to reimburse. What we're actually going to do is leave the inventories alone, so you won't lose anything when we transfer.
Right.
But obviously, between the change on the packs, people are saying, well, I wanted to wear the rest of the skins. Yeah, we intend to give those out to the people.
Right.
that buy
So
the packs.
this might not happen at the same time.
Yeah, so it's what we don't want to do is mess with people's inventory more than we need to.
Yeah.
So we want you to keep all your stuff. So it may be that we do this and you've got your pack and you're going, but I haven't got the skins for that. We'll definitely sort that out.
Just as a hypothetical, folks in the chat, because this is another solution. Well, this is another potential outcome that we discussed previously. It might still happen, but it's unlikely. So, just to kind of, float it out there. What's your appetite for, instead of this being keep your inventory as you have now, so keep all of your ships with all of their loadouts, what if instead it was a respec, so you would get back all of, I know it's not happening, but we discussed it.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
I
That's
just
cool.
want to
Yeah.
find out what the appetite for it was.
Yeah, that's cool.
So given the choice, let's say you'd sunk 5 million credits with the associated XP into unlocking ships. What if we gave you back all of that cash that you'd spent in order to be able to buy whatever you
that
felt like?
that was the one of the options we talked about, and we were quite keen on it. It gives you a chance to change your mind, basically. But we're also aware that if you've invested all this time and built up an inventory, for us to just take that away and go, sort yourself out again, there's a whole.
There we go. Hardly's come straight back with, I want to keep all my stuff.
So
first answer, only answer.
Yeah, we want the minimum impact on your experience, basically. So
okay, fair enough. I don't.
But feel free
to keep
feedback.
the ideas. A respec is irritating. Okay, fair enough. Same outcome, different path. Happy to keep all your stuff. Yeah, I'd rather keep it. Okay, fine.
Sounds like we're doing the right way.
In that case, I was entirely wrong.
Well, no, there's a good value for the respec, but I think it's the discussion we had is like, don't fuck with my stuff. That's my stuff.
You're not allowed to say that on our stream.
No.
I tell people off for that kind. No, we're
gonna
live.
get banned
We
now.
can't bleep nothing.
I'm going to get banned.
Edited by Protagonist. Watch the language.
Yes. Sorry.
You see, I could fix my regrets. That's what I was referring to.
Yes, yeah.
I said
That's
that
the
people who
respect thing.
bought the Overseer could go, well, I ain't buying that again. I'll have one of those instead.
Overseers,
Anywho,
Lily.
power off. No, you don't, stupid monitor. We've got this magical energy saving monitor in here. You'll see it on just about every stream. Where we have to turn the monitor off and on again.
Yep.
Someone will read the manual at some point. Possibly even me.
I mean, as you say, hopefully with the reimbursement and everything, hopefully people will be able to buy themselves a new ship.
Will the Black Widow be getting a loadout rollback, or can the old loadout be added to the game? I don't really understand. It's Kieran Ketsu.
Obviously, I'm trying to remember what the old loadouts were. I mean, I know the main plan with. So the Black Widow's changed quite drastically. So with the rocket system and the missile systems, Ludo's doing a lot of work on the missile systems to give good utility alternates, basically, to them.
Okay.
So at the moment he's got energy missiles, and he's got armor missiles. So the idea is to give alternates so that our current intention for loads, what we want to do is use loadouts to counterpick.
Oh,
so,
I see. Okay.
So theoretically, you might pick a different missile loadout because you're facing a lot of heavies, or because you're facing a lot of fast ships. So,
right.
So he's trying to look at different utilities he can do on those missiles and the way they work in order to give more options.
So I think rather than the old loadout system coming back, there'll be a new and improved.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing a big. Obviously, the Black Widow suffered massively pre-change, and now is scarily competitive.
It was very popular at the moment, although it did drop quite quickly. It's less popular now than it was. Zerod's inviting you onto his stream if you want to go swear your face off. You're still not allowed. We have professional conduct here. Right, okay, so real relevant question for all players, and it's Reese again. When will I get my 2K Platinum from the drop? When you respond to my private message. You might have done so already, in which case, when I read the response to your private message, that was last night, Reese 1-2 on the drop.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool, cool. Awesome.
Pretty impressive. The next episode of the drop is probably coming on tomorrow, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do it ahead of it. Whatever. Okay, right, we've got time for 2 more questions.
Well, there's that one.
Yeah, that's the
You're
last
saving
question.
that one.
That's the last question.
Might be a
Everybody
long
already
answer.
knows. Everybody already knows what it means. Yes. That's a good question. Thank you, KP. Do you have who asked that one? That's Zerid. Zerid's getting a lot of airtime today, but it's a good question. Are Games Quit going to be reset? Obviously, at the moment, if you're if our game has a moment you can get bumped out and then you're unable to get back
Yeah,
in, and
yeah.
it counts as a quit.
Absolutely, and a lot of us internally see that. So I think mine's 99% at the moment because I'm sub 200 games
You're
and
a
the game kicks me out.
dirty disconnector.
I got shut down by our own game at one point. So yeah, the intention is, I think there's a number of things. One, that stat almost isn't important to us anymore. Isn't
It
important.
might
to
not be
community
important
anymore.
to us. It's certainly important to someone who's trying to protect their 100%.
Well, I think as
record.
important as we don't need to track it in the way. What we
Right.
want to do is track disconnects and deal with disconnects, but we don't need a leaderboard stat to do that.
Okay.
And I think so. The short version is yes.
The short version is yes. The longer version will be when we feel like the game isn't actually just ejecting people for no reason.
And giving them a 99% completion.
Right.
Yeah.
So yes, that reset is coming, but it won't be for a little while. Hold on. The Lone Rangers said. We're going to see more variations of loadouts to actually making the different firing options into things that alter gameplay.
So as I was saying earlier, yeah, I mean the intention is that there'll be you picking ships, and then the loadouts is a way to respond to ship picks, as much as anything else, both for blind pick and eventually when we get there, drafting. But yeah, we're way off that kind of movement to a certain extent. However, I think I said last time, one of the things I found is you'll have a loadout option that you put in,
Yeah.
and you think nobody's picking it, and it's it's not worth the investment. So you want to change it because it's embarrassing. You want everything to be worthwhile.
Yeah.
And then you change it, and somebody says, "Why don't you take my loadout? I love that loadout. It's my favourite loadout. I use that all the time."
Yeah.
So you've got to balance it with what people are using and how much they get attached to certain styles of play. Multi-shot being a famous example. So multi-shot on the radar, loads of people internally are going, "It's rubbish, you don't need it, scalpel beam so much better."
Yeah.
A lot of people internally, we removed it millennia. Where's my multi-shot? So yeah.
Right.
So yeah, so you see
No,
a lot
that's
of that.
that's entirely
But
fair
yeah,
enough.
it's fair to say that a lot of the loadouts are very small changes. They don't have massive impact. But what we don't want is one loadout to be superior, and we want loadouts to be a conscious decision that's changing how you will impact that game.
And so,
But it's
I mean,
an ongoing process.
presumably part of that is meaning that the change from loadout X to loadout Y is a meaningful decision.
Yeah, I mean, one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to break the ship. You don't
Right.
want to turn an interceptor into a reaper, right? You want the ships
Yeah.
to do their own thing. So you will see, a gun will remain on a gun slot, a missile will remain on a missile slot. But what you want to see is those things change so that you're opting into whether you're dealing with fast ships.
So
healers,
that, I mean,
heavies,
that's loadouts
cloaks.
are your counters effectively.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. What are you digging? Right. Anything? Heals. Questions about heals. Robert Padot.
Robert Padot.
Heals. I'm sure you're familiar with the subject, but it's felt like if your team doesn't have a healer, you might as well Alt F4. Don't do that.
Yes, don't do that anyway. But I mean, the ratio isn't that massively different. I mean, it's higher.
Yeah.
The healers win, but
Yes.
it's 53-47, 54-46, something like that.
I mean the difference might not be huge, but I think it spills into what is the intended role of healing in the game. Is healing supposed to be, a near essential, or is it supposed to be just another valid way of?
To be honest, it's not something we can force. It's not something we could. Even if we said we always want you to have a heavy and a healer and two mediums and a fast attack ship or whatever.
Having a healer, two heroes, and a fast.
Whatever.
That's fine.
I'm just
Okay,
making that.
no, that's good.
People will find ways to work, and at the moment you'd see when the Paladin, the Superlifter came out, because you had two new healers, people going double healer, right, and massively increases the survivability of their ship. But you see teams now going, "Oh, we need a healer, it's going to work," and they'll get out DPS. They'll out DPS the healer, and then the healer's dead. So it depends on how you approach it, right?
Actually, we saw last week. We saw it. I mean, in this week's Fraction Space, being shown again on Friday, the Paladin has dropped from third most popular ship in the game to 11th most popular in the space of a week. And I think all that talk of it being overpowered was maybe a little bit excitable, but it possibly has some tweaking to come.
Yeah, I think they both have been tweaked, but I think when they both came out, they were
a little bit handy.
A little bit handy
A
is
little
good.
bit
I like
handy.
that. And but I think the difference is the Paladin was easier to understand and play well, and the Superlifter took a while. And but yeah, they both needed work.
Right.
But yeah, I think we want a game. It's a team game, and you want to be able to support your team. You need somebody that will support your team, and somebody that excels at that. And healing's the most obvious way, right? Is just part of that team play, keeping a guy alive in the middle of a fight where they take care of the enemy. You want any class-based game, you want those components.
Right.
But if a team opts to go full DPS, you want them to have to play well to outdo a team that go for a more balanced team comp.
Of course.
It shouldn't be a walkover for either side. So it's just working out where you put your strengths.
Okay. So the last question I've got is, it's quite obscure.
Nobody would have heard of it.
No, nobody's. There was once this ship called the Paragon.
Yes.
Which I understand carried something or something along those lines. Okay, let's stop mucking about. What, the Paragon? Yes, quite.
Absolutely.
The Paragon has been out of here for the best part of 6 months now.
Yes. Well, since we reset the tech tree.
Okay, so talk to me about carriers.
Yes.
Because I've seen the sneak peek carrier model screenshot we put out.
We have put it out.
Yeah. It looks no. It looks good. The one we've done is the side-on view, kind of silhouetted a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
They've not seen the one from the top.
Oh, okay.
The one from
the
one from the top made me very excited.
Okay. Yes. So, Paragon's kind of personal to me. Me and Stanith worked on it long before we released it. It was massively OP. We worked on it to bring it into line. People didn't play the way we thought it did, and all these things, and it kind of interesting, and then went down this cul-de-sac basically. So when we'd reset the tech tree, we weren't happy with where it was, so we locked it off until we had a chance to return to it. And Ginger Gladiator has done this lovely new mesh, which is much more carrier-like than.
No, it is a carrier.
I didn't want to get too much into it.
Couldn't be anything else.
I did some tests on it a while ago, because one of the big problems we kind of did analysis on it. One of the big problems with the Paragon was the downtime between you send your wings out and they come back. It was like 90 seconds. Well,
the other thing I heard is
between
that
attacks.
basically you sit in a forward base and go 1, 2, 3.
Well, that's the first release. When we first released it, we're all being okay. So I'll send them over there, send them fighters to kill the heal drones, bombers to attack that guy. I'll stay back, and it was all quite strategic, which is the intention.
Right.
And everybody just launched everything and jumped and wiped out whoever they ran into.
Nice.
It was a massacre.
This sounds like my kind of ship.
Well, we'll get to that. But the idea behind the Paragon was that you pick your targets and you select. You're making decisions about target, allied, or enemy.
Right.
So I did some work on the flight models on the ships, so you have a less downtime between sending them out. We combined the bomber wings into a single set, so they only take up one slot. We added a utility wing that currently improves capping, I believe, but we could do a number of things with that slot.
Okay.
And you maintain the fighters, because basically the one thing currently the Paragon has that nobody else has is that its wings level up. So as your ship levels up, your bombers level up.
Oh.
And the bombers are quite dangerous. It's one of the things we're going to have to look at. Stanley's doing a lot of work on trying to improve the way small ships work, which is something we want to do.
Right.
And so you'll need fighters that exist on other ships will need to exist to help counter not only healing drones, which is very important, but also bomber attacks from carriers.
So what's the point of a carrier in the game? What's its role on the battlefield? What's it for?
Well, to a certain extent, it's meant to be. It is meant to be a kind of support heavy. I mean, its main impact to the game will be bomber attack. The hope is that the utility wing will also provide some support role. But ultimately, he's attacking from range and changing the way you approach a lane because he's there. I mean, even in the old version of the Paragon, in some games, you'd see a Paragon relatively successfully slowing progress on a lane by himself while the other 4 guys push the other one.
Right.
Because as long as you're scared of him, then the gap between you and him specifically, because of the amount of damage you can do, then that you have to be really careful on how you approach him. But if you can get close, then you can wipe the guy out. But it's that long range kind of attack, and using his abilities to change the way a team approach a lane is what he's really about.
Okay.
So I mean, for people who play World of Tanks, the SPG basically is incredibly divisive class. So sort of it's basically sits at the back and lobs grenades at everybody else in the field. And as a result, everybody has to be very careful how to move through the map. They have to treat the geometry with respect. They can't just barge through because the SPG might take them out. So the carrier isn't that doesn't have such a strong presence as that, because all of our ships do very, very different things, not like tanks. But the idea is that he could change the way you would affect a lane, because if he'll send your bombers your way, you have to deal with that, or he's enforcing somebody else's cap. Or
so, to my mind, the Paragon sounds like you could just have a straightforward equivalent in each manufacturer.
Yes.
Or is the
yes
plan
and
still
no.
going to be to have a different take on things?
I think that the plan with the Paragon is to get the concept of the Paragon's gameplay working in it. So Ludo's been doing some work on getting in that utility wing. We need to get some work from Stanith to make the waypoint buoy work. So rather than being a time-based thing, it's a buoy like other buoys in the game. So you could drop that, and then your bombers can rearm at it. So it becomes a very important target for the enemy,
right?
Because those things become very dangerous if a bomber wing can rearm at it.
Yeah.
So there's a number of things we need to get its systems working, and then we want Stanith to do some work on the small ships, which is the big job, because our things fly around, but they don't look and feel as good as we'd like them to. We'd like to improve that if we can.
So what are you aiming for there?
Just them to move a little better and work a little better. It's kind of a evasive answer, but it's all to do with the way they fly and scale, like how they move relative to the big ships, because a lot of the scale is lost in the movement of the small ships.
Yeah.
But we'll see how that works. But we want to get that working, and that's the Paragon. But that thing we had when the Paragon just jumped with all its ships and became this dangerous area of effect that moves through the lane is a viable ship type. And we do intend to add their carriers, and the idea is that when we add, there's a vague outline for a TDS carrier that theoretically could be this sort of like a ball of danger that moves through the map with all its flying wings.
The TDS Ball of Danger.
TM.
That's a good winning ship name right there.
Danger Ball.
Okay.
But so the idea is that heavies should all play differently. Heavies shouldn't play like, oh yeah, it's one of them. But that said, we have the mesh that the Paragon used to use that we want to adapt to.
Yeah, I imagine that will
be
tweaked. Another heavy on Zarek.
Yes, that will become a different heavy.
See you dropping these news, drop just out of the sky. Okay, good.
Yes.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for this time around. The Paragon obviously not coming this update.
What's then? It depends. We would love to get it out this update, but Stanith's doing a lot of work on 411 and a lot of support and other things, and is kind of like crucial to get the Paragon working. But the Paragon's not the only ship we're working on.
No, because
we'll save that.
You could tease
we'll
that
save
one.
That.
I'll
But
get some sexy
the way the team
screenshots.
works is there's always, and usually it's Ludo, there's always a guy working on ships and loadouts and balance changes. So regardless what else we're doing, that process continues, and we're working on some other things. So
Okay, good. Well, thanks, folks, for tuning in to this one today. Being told, not yet. Wait for me to finish my outro. We'll be back with another Q&A probably the week after next. We'll do these 1 week after that. The missing ship thread is me, and I've got a plan, and it's going to work. Don't worry about it. It's a discussion we've had previously on several occasions. Yes, so thank you for tuning in today. We'll be back with another one of these in a couple of weeks' time. Meanwhile, stay tuned for The Rookie.
Oh, right.
The Rookie, which is our, it's a new...
I think I heard it recorded earlier.
It's a new development. So stay tuned.
Whole new TV show.
The Rookie will be coming up shortly, but thanks for watching for now, and catch up with you soon.
Cheers, guys.
Command has given us a green light. The mission is on.